Welcome to another video, Walk on the Wild Side, and I'm here in Blackpool. Check it out, we've got the Blackpool Tower behind us and it's a bit of a special day. It's May the 14th, 2024, because Blackpool Tower is 130 years old. Yeah, so it's a bit of a special day for Blackpool Tower. May the 14th, 2024, and it's 130 years old. 1894 is when it opened. Wow, I wonder if they knew then that it would still be going 130 years later. You know, I've said it before on the channel, but wouldn't you just love to be in Blackpool right now? Just look at these scenes here, the central pier, people on the beach. You know what? The water is blue. Yo, hiya. Yeah, the Irish Sea is blue, and I think that's to do with the wind direction. You know, a lot of people don't realise that the Blackpool Sea tends to be brown because of the sand, but when the wind is from the east, the sea turns blue. So what I thought I'd do is I'd do a little video about the Blackpool Tower, the history of Blackpool Tower, how it got built, and yeah, I thought I'd choose now to do it. 130 years old, of course, and I'm going to do it all off the top of my head. I haven't got any notes or anything like that, so I've learned quite a lot about Blackpool since I started doing videos. I've learned loads about Blackpool. I wasn't even into history before I started this channel, you know, but since I did start it, and I've been going around looking at things, looking at historic buildings, winter gardens, the piers, all that sort of thing, and I've learned so much. I've looked into the history of them, and I want to tell you about this thing here, how it got built. And I tell you what, there's a bit of a story to it and all. You know, the original vision for the Blackpool Tower, the original idea for it did not come from Blackpool, it came from London. There was a company set up after the Paris show when they built the Eiffel Tower, when Gustave Eiffel built the Eiffel Tower, and they all saw it at the Paris show, and this company was set up in London to build. They had an idea to build a load of towers all over the UK, and Blackpool was just one of many places. And I'm just going to step into the water here if it's safe. I'm just onto the beach now, by the way. Oh yeah, and actually one of the other places was just across the water here, the Isle of Man, Douglas. Now they actually laid a foundation stone for the Isle of Man Tower in 1891. That's 3 years before they built the Blackpool Tower. Yeah, so the Paris show, I believe, was 1889, and that was where the idea came from. And there was a few local people in Blackpool who were interested in building a tower here, and there's a few different sites chosen as well. South Shore, Rigby Road, they were going to build it all over the place. They were looking to build it, but eventually they settled here, and there used to be a house there, actually, a house with an aquarium that was owned by Dr. Cocker, who was an ex-mayor of the town. Yeah, and the tower company, the newly formed tower company, bought the land that the house was on and the aquarium, and they ended up building this, you know, the building at the bottom of the tower around the aquarium. So that's how the tower ended up having an aquarium. So the idea was for the company to sell shares in the tower. They wanted to sell shares, and funny enough, there wasn't a lot of interest from locals apart from one person, and that person was John Bickerstaff, and he was also an ex-mayor as well, a publican. He owned pubs, and he became the boss of the Blackpool Tower Company. And like I say, there wasn't much confidence from locals to build the Blackpool Tower, and eventually, after a lot of it took a while to get going. There was a lack of investment, no one was buying the shares, and eventually Sir John Bickerstaff ended up selling some of his businesses to buy shares in order to finance the building of the Blackpool Tower, which started around about 1892. It took them 2 years to build it. It was built by a Manchester firm called Heenan and Froude. They built the Blackpool Tower, and it took them about 2 years to build it, and it opened on May the 14th, 1894. Well, the North Pier was 160 years old last year, yeah. 1863 is when the North Pier was built. Blackpool's first pier, and then they built the rest of them because the success of the North Pier was so great. But it was quite expensive, so quite expensive to go on, so they built the Central Pier, well, back then it was called the South Pier, to appeal to the working classes. So there you go, a little bit more history for you. Now, of course, there was more to it than just the Blackpool Tower, because they built the building around the base, which contained the famous ballroom, which is now world famous for, obviously, ballroom dancing, and of course the aquarium, and let's not forget the Tower Circus as well, with its pool of water as well, directly underneath the tower itself. The tower is 518 feet 9 inches in old money to the very top. I don't know what that is in metric, but I use old money, me. Yeah, so it wasn't easy getting the tower built, and funny enough, once the tower was built and it opened, it became a massive success. It became dominant, not just in size. I mean, it's absolutely huge, of course, not as big as the Eiffel Tower, which inspired it, but it absolutely dominated. There were so many people. It was such a success that they were able to buy other businesses, such as the Alhambra Theatre, which was next door to the tower. The Blackpool Tower Company bought the failing Alhambra Theatre and turned it into the Palace Theatre, and that became a bit of a success, actually. Yeah, after that they even eventually bought the Blackpool Winter Gardens in about 1928, and they had that big wheel, the giant wheel, which eventually had to be demolished because the giant wheel was like a competitor to the tower. It was quite big. It was about 220 feet, about half the height of Blackpool Tower, but it was I think it was too costly to run, and eventually the Blackpool Tower Company bought the Winter Gardens around about 1928, and then they demolished the big wheel in 1929. So if you see any photographs of the Blackpool big wheel at the Winter Gardens, you know that that photograph was taken in 1929 or earlier. So I'm just down the steps here from the Tower Headland, and this Tower Headland was created around about, well, no, it was about 2005 or something like that, when they redid the promenade, and they made all this bigger. They built the sea wall out, and I think it's one of the best things that's ever happened in Blackpool, to make this sea wall bigger and give it a bit of a shape, because before it used to be straight, and now it curves all over the place. And of course, just up here we have got, in 2011, the comedy carpet, the famous comedy carpet. Check it out, right underneath the Blackpool Tower, which is 130 years old. And here's something else Blackpool's famous for. Blackpool Rock. There it is there. We've got the elm here cut in half to show you the lettering that goes all the way. How did they do that, by the way? How did they put the lettering all the way through the rock? It's one of those secrets, isn't it? They can't tell you. So there you go, that's Blackpool Tower's 130th birthday this year, May the 14th. They're going to have a bit of an event going on later this month, I think. I'll put some information in the description what they're going to do, so you can find out for yourself. I think they're going to have like a concert or something. Not sure if it's going to be out here or inside, but if there's any information, I'll put it in the description. Blackpool Tower, 130 years old. Did they think that when they built it then, back then, that it would still be going all this time later? And yeah, I'll also put a bit of a story in the description to the building of the tower and how it got built and all that. It wasn't an easy process, like I mentioned, but there you go. I thought I'd do this little video for you, and all that information was all off the top of my head. It's all what I've learned since I've been doing this channel. Anyway, I hope you like this video. If you do, hit the like button and also hit subscribe and tick the bell for notifications of new videos, and I'll see you again on the next one. Happy birthday, Blackpool Tower.